Welcome back to Crypto Front. This is the front line where we are fighting together side by side for financial freedom. Let's go ahead and take a look at our beloved ICP Internet Computer Protocol and try to see how far we're progressing with what we are calling bullish structures here. I know that for a lot of people, ICP has been dead for years, but for some of us, I think we are very much bullish right there because there are some things that really never change in crypto. Obviously, a lot of patience is needed, which 99% of the people don't have, but that's exactly what you need at this point. So what you see right now is ICP on a 3 daily time frame. And we have developed, of course, a very good pattern. I think we talked about it when we broke out here. I think it was back then in July. This is a falling wedge. And what we talk about time and again with falling wedges is that they are bullish patterns. The odds are more than 66% that you go ahead and reach your price target. In this situation, we are looking right around like $22, $23, they're about there. But of course, as I've said in the past, I think this would just be the beginning of momentum here for ICP. I expect way higher price targets than that. $50, $100, and even in some cases I've also talked about something like $200, but we don't want to be getting ahead of ourselves too much right there. So let's go ahead and focus on this one here. We will of course take a look at some other things in the video, but taking a look at this falling wedge here, it has taken obviously a very long time to come back here to back test this whole thing, and you can see that we are rising right now slowly but surely. I think that we're going to be getting acceleration here from the ICP price. I have got other charts to show you, of course, that go ahead and support this idea right there. So that's number one with the falling wedge. And of course, many people will be like, okay, do patterns still work in crypto? I think they work very much. I think it was a few weeks ago also I was talking about this falling wedge that we had on Bitcoin, and today of course we hit the top of the wedge right there. So this is technically how this thing's supposed to work, but of course even for Bitcoin we're expecting it to go way higher than that, provided we go ahead and close a very bullish weekly candle right there. We can talk about it on Monday, obviously. But coming back here to ICP Internet Computer Protocol from a different view altogether, this is now an 8-hourly time frame. And if I may go back to the structure that I showed you earlier on, we're just zooming this whole thing in here, which looks like, basically sideways action. But within that sideways action that you saw there is great accumulation that has been happening in what is known as a Wyckoff accumulation pattern. So you see the schematic that I just overlapped with the price, and it's looking like it was literally taken from the current price section of ICP. Now what you usually see is that in phase C of the accumulation, you hit your lowest point, and from there you start pushing towards the upside. So ICP is pretty much on that path at this point. And if you remember days leading into the Fed meeting, I think it was like around the 17th of September, we were talking about a scenario like this one where we would see a quick crash towards the downside towards like $4.20. I want to say the chart obviously got to $4, which I think is relatively close, but whatever the case may be, I think that was the bottom. We hit our low right there. I've talked about it multiple times, of course, but the big thing is that we're now looking for the price to start slowly but surely but pushing towards the upside. The immediate short-term price target for this one will be 15 cents, but I think that we're going to be exceeding that just because I showed you this also falling wedge, which I was saying, of course, yes, the technical price target is the top of the wedge, but we have seen with falling wedges over and over again that you happen to exceed the top by a lot. I mean, comparing to the one that we had in the last meaningful rally that we had here with ICP, you saw that this one was supposed to hit this part right around like $4.60, but it went as high as like 21. So there is a lot of overshooting that happens right there. So the price targets that I'm talking about right now are just preliminary price targets. We're not talking about how the whole thing eventually will play out, but I think we're looking good right there, and you get that sense. But other than that, of course, along this Wyckoff accumulation pattern, it's not going to be all up. Some days we're going to be having some kind of a pullback, everything goes slow. Sometimes you go slow and stuff like that. But the overall trend here, I think, is obvious to anybody who has good eyes that, yeah, that was it. Maybe a quick example of another Wyckoff accumulation pattern like that would be Chainlink. Back, I think, in 2022, you can see that this was at the lows of the, bear market. And you can see this is the kind of moment that we have here with ICP at this point, which marks the low. And from there, you're looking to push, right? So, it can happen. I've shown you even in last videos, examples like Dogecoin. I showed you XRP as well. That moment, we were just preparing for a quick crash towards the downside. Now we have had that. And now our focus is kind of shifted to say that, look, we can be starting to, grind towards the upside there for ICP. ICP is not, existing in a bubble. It, of course, has to play along with the rest of the market, and we've got a very, very great picture there as well. Let's start here maybe with something that is a little bit common, and that is the Bitcoin dominance. Now what we see with the Bitcoin dominance is that there is of course this uptrend that it had. It broke down below that. It appears at this point that it's just backtesting that trend line, and down it will go, in my opinion. And of course, in this moment, we expect ICP and a lot of other cryptocurrencies to just do a really fantastic job right there. So we have that in the back, but I mean, we also have got other indexes within the crypto space that are threatening to go ahead and set new all-time highs here. So you see this one is pretty much hitting those 2020 highs, and it's looking like any moment from now is going to be a huge breakout there. I will show you a quick example of something like that so that you get a picture of what we are talking about, and I'm referring to the Bitcoin price. Let me maybe go to a chart on Binance, which really doesn't have, or maybe we can use the crypto index here. And what you notice there is that on a weekly time frame, let me just adjust that nice and easy. You happen to break your previous, all-time high here of 2021 with exact the same structure that we have here with other crypto index. I will talk about obviously why that is significant and why that has everything to do with ICP in a second. But you see what happens here, right? Once you just test that resistance over and over again, you have got this huge rally that just happens right there for Bitcoin. So coming back here to this index, where we are today is exactly where Bitcoin was back in October 2024. So that's really, and we are looking for this vertical price action. Now that we have established that, let's just go ahead and connect it to what ICP is doing currently, because this is an ICP video, right? So once we call the ICP price here, which is the line that you see down in blue, we just realize that these things pretty much are moving in tandem. There is just maybe a slight lag right there of maybe a day or two, but other than that, these things, they move 1:1. So if we are anticipating a huge breakout here in terms of like the index of altcoins, this obviously does not include Bitcoin. We are also looking very much for a big rise in terms of the ICP price. This has been the driver of the ICP price over and over again. Not even Caffeine AI, for a lot of people that are, big fans of that. I happen to be a big fan of it as well, but that has not been the driver. If that was the case, I think ICP at this point would have been at $100. But so far, so good. The market has just been following this money right there within, the altcoin space. So now that we are looking for a breakout, I think it's also very much fair to anticipate that ICP is going to be breaking out very much quickly as well. So it's going to be an exciting time, in my opinion. It's really big. I think I've shown you the Bitcoin price moments ago, how quickly it moved, and it's not going to be surprising me if I see $10 ICP in next to no time, right? Then maybe some people are going to be starting to think, maybe a lot of people won't be believing it, but I think that what is happening right now is that the stage has been set. Of course, we are talking about these things in terms of like being super bullish, but a lot of people will come and say trash tomorrow when they see maybe the price is down like -5%, -10%. So that's not really is my concern at this point, because there are way bigger things to anticipate here. So a -10% drop, is not something that really shakes me. So this is where the market is. We've got like this falling wedge, massive one. I think we gave an example of Bitcoin. Then of course we talked about the Wyckoff accumulation pattern right there. We had a quick one with Chainlink, and then of course the whole index is looking to push towards the upside. The Bitcoin price also really doing great, and I think it's just an exciting time altogether. The only problem that I might have with this is that this may be short-lived, but we'll see how quickly the whole thing wraps up. I want to thank you so much for watching the video. If you could, please delicately tap the like button, share the video to friends and family, and of course, if you want to be seeing more of this ICP content, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.